Record of Fugitives, September 1855, from the papers of Sidney Howard Gay. Read by Frank Blissett. September 1st. Charles Holliday belonged to Henry Smith of Baltimore, left there on the 31st of August by the cars for Philadelphia, and came through immediately. Ran away because he was whipped when too ill to work. One of the family, Malin Talbot, county clerk, advised him to run away, promised to get him his free papers. Charles's term of slavery would have expired in 2 years and a half. Sent to Syracuse. Expenses, $4.37. September 5th. John Richardson, James Russell, slave of Edward Reynolds of Baltimore, gave a man $20 to take him 20 miles toward Pennsylvania, and walked thence to Columbia, where he took the cars to Philadelphia. Had money enough to take him so far. A colored man by the name of Jackson, employed on one of the steamers to New York, gave him a passage here, and put him in Napoleon's hands. He had sent his baggage to Boston by a free colored man, and I paid his passage to that city and fed him, $3. September 6th. Jane Johnson arrived from Pennsylvania, paid her passage, etc. to Boston, $4. September 7th. Anthony Brown, born John Bennett, and his brother Albert Brown, born James Bennett, belonging to Henry and John Hollard near Norfolk, left on Saturday night, a fortnight last Saturday, with 2 others, fugitives, in a sailboat belonging to a neighbor of their master's, and run down the Chesapeake Bay till Tuesday about noon, when they landed about 20 miles above Baltimore. They were out of provisions and discouraged by headwinds, and concluded to make their way by land with a compass for guide. The first step was to inquire of some colored people as to the Wilmington Railroad, and found that, to reach that, they must go back within 7 miles of Baltimore, which they did. From that time they kept to the rail, traveling by night, and keeping close by day. From colored people on the way they got provisions, and were troubled with no questions from whites. At one place they abandoned the compass, lest it should excite the suspicions of 2 white persons whom they saw approaching. At Wilmington they found friends, and were sent into Pennsylvania, and so on, the brothers, however, soon parting with their 2 companions, lest suspicion should be excited. Sent them through to Syracuse. Albert and Anthony have both left wives, and one of them a child, in Norfolk, and all free. Passages and food, $8.50. Paid Mrs. Mundy for lodging Jane Johnson on her way to Pennsylvania, 37 cents. That was Record of Fugitives, September 1855, from the papers of Sidney Howard Gay. Read by Frank Blissett.